What's up, Trader's Edge? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option. Today, I'm going to wrap up what happened during the week. We'll take a look at the week ahead, and we'll go through indexes, so S&P, Qs, Russell. We're going to talk about individual names, big reports this week, look ahead to some reports for next week, and we'll talk about VIX and bonds as well. So with that, let's dig in. Traders. As you can see, it was kind of a weird day for the S&P 500 on Friday. Generally kind of an up and down week. We had a nice, real big gap open on Monday. But then, we rallied. The Fed day turned really ugly before closing basically unchanged. Big down day Thursday. Little bit of a recovery on Friday, only to close up about 17 points. On the week, we were up about 50 points. The range on the week, though, was 69, 68, 69.20, all the way down to 68.14. So a nice 115-point range today, or this week. Lots of movement. Q's had a pretty similarly interesting week, pretty similar pattern. Again, closed up on the week, really nice range, a high of 637 and a low of 625.94. So a good 12-point range for the Qs. Again, up on the week, but mostly from the gap on Monday. The rest of the week was basically just kind of dealing with news. Russell 2000, not as great of a week as the other indexes. Did manage to close up on Friday, but after gapping open on Monday and looking real strong Tuesday, was basically down the whole week and did close marginally, essentially flat, marginally down on the week. Again, I still like the Russell 2000. It did break an all-time high on the 27th, has yet to close at an all-time high. I'm looking for that to happen here next week. Lots of earnings to talk about. Apple, kind of a snoozer. Closed the day down $1. Google reported Wednesday, gapped higher, real strong before kind of fizzling out. Closed from the day of its earnings to here, only up about $7. So not that exciting. Amazon, different story. Did they knock the socks off of earnings? It's closed at a new all-time high. I think it's eventually going to $300, folks. This is one I really like. On the other end, Meta. Ouch. Continuing lower. Closed at a new recent low on Friday. Not time to buy yet. Getting close. Not time to buy. I'm targeting 610 as probably an entry point. Excuse me. And then last but not least, Microsoft. Again, not a great earnings, but just kind of ended up about where it closed on Monday. So could be an entry point here, but we had a whole other list of earnings out there. One stock that I've been watching that you guys know I love is Reddit. It had a strong day, did give away some of that, but had a real strong day. I'm liking this one to $300. Now, let's talk VIX. Because for how strong the market was, VIX actually closed up on the week. We have the market closing up and the VIX closing up. Last Friday, VIX closed 1637, got as high as 18.5 on Friday, closed 1744. Market up plus VIX up, usually a problem. So have that in the back of your mind while you're trading that, something funky is up with the VIX. And maybe it's bond related. TLT really kind of fallen off a cliff since the Fed. Powell poured a lot of cold water on interest rates on Wednesday, and it continued its lower. EF kind of moved in similar fashion. Did manage to close the day up on Friday, but had a pretty miserable week. We typically do see selling in bonds after the Fed, and those typically are buying opportunities. I still think the Fed is going to lower in December, but there was some serious cold water next week poured on Wednesday, which was kind of disappointing for bulls. Talking about next week, we still have a whole host of earnings. None of the huge ones, but we still have a lot of earnings, primarily in small caps. I'm going to be watching a bunch of them. NVIDIA is still several weeks away. They don't report till November 19th. The week of November expiration. NVIDIA looking, real strong over 200. The big one for next week is Palantir. Palantir is over $200, was very strong on Friday, and, we're seeing bullish flows into Palantir, so don't be surprised if that one rallies. Last but not least, oil seems to have stabilized, found a spot that it wants to be at. That worked out pretty well for CVX. And, ExxonMobil had kind of a ho-hum day, but I thought its earnings were pretty compelling. What they're planning to do with nat gas and data centers, I think, is very interesting. Could be a game changer for this one. So we're going to be keeping a real close eye on Exxon to see if we see some bull call buying in that one. We're probably going to want to get on board. All right, everybody. There's kind of the week that was and what I'm looking ahead to for next week. I hope you guys have a happy Halloween and a wonderful weekend. I'm Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. Have a good one.